Going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sloppy Saturdays. And today we have our favorite style episodes finally back as the college football season is here. We are going over our week one picks. Now, for everybody who's watching, I hope everybody this weekend is going to be with their boys, multiple TVs up, drinking with action, having a sloppy Saturday. But if you guys aren't, that's okay. We know life goes on. Some people have certain events, but this weekend is definitely not the weekend to have something else going on besides action and watching college football, zoning out in front of the TV for 10 plus hours. We are going to get into all of our picks. Our picks span from Friday to Sunday. I didn't really like the games on the Thursday slate. Now, before we get into everything, I want to give a little disclaimer. I am giving you guys what I am personally taking. There is not a pick on here that I am not personally taking. This is not betting advice. If you guys want to ride with me, please ride with me. But this is for me to track my picks and give you guys what I am personally taking. Don't come at me if 1 week, maybe if it's week 7, week 8, where I go something like 2-6 or something on my picks. Do not come for my neck. Like I said, I am giving you guys everything that I am personally taking. There are other picks that I like, but I am not sure if I'm going to be taking them yet. So I'm not going to be giving them guys to you. I want to give you guys everything that I am fully confident in. Now that we got everything out of the way, let's get into our favorite segment, our betting picks. Now for Friday, we have 2 games we really like. They are going off at the same time. Now, if you guys aren't the type of people that like to take the same games, the same time games, maybe just pick one you really like. I love Auburn-Baylor. I think Auburn-Baylor game is probably the biggest lock on this whole entire board for me. I've said to you guys time and time again, whether it's college, whether it's NFL, I feel like you make your money on the smaller games. You don't make your money on the bigger primetime games. Now, for this episode, I'm going to give you guys my locks on the big games because I feel like that's what everybody wants to bet on. That's what everybody wants to see. So I'm going to give you my side. But I feel like the smaller games, in a longevity standpoint, is really where you make your money. I absolutely love Auburn-Baylor. I think Auburn is an absolute lock here. Whether you want to take them at the -2.5 for -110 or the -135 money line, I think Auburn, this is a classic. Nobody could stick with the SEC type of matchup. Now, I usually favor SEC teams when they go at a conference, whether it's Big 12, ACC. It's not as black and white as it used to be. There used to be times, 4 or 5 years ago where you were just able to take that SEC team when they were going at a conference and they would flat out dominate. Now college is getting a little bit of a more even playing field. So again, like I said, it isn't as black and white. I feel like this is the matchup you want to go SEC at a conference. I do not think Baylor is going to be able to stick with Auburn in this game at all. I think Auburn is really one of the most improved teams in the country. Again, are they probably not a top half team in the SEC? Yes. Is Baylor a top half team in the Big 12? Yes. But I think when you look at Auburn and Baylor on the same playing field, I don't think Baylor's going to be able to keep up. I think Auburn, like I said, so improved. I still really have hope for Jackson Arnold. I think Jackson Arnold is a very talented quarterback. Auburn has 2 absolute X's in Cam Coleman, in Singleton, and I think the style of play and style points for Auburn, this is a matchup they are definitely going to take advantage of. I think Auburn is just going to be able to score at will, and I don't think Baylor's offense is going to be able to keep up. I think this is a mismatch. I'm surprised it's at a -2.5 line. Again, Auburn is away, but I still expect this to be like at least 4.5. It's 2.5. You take Auburn, you are getting a steal. First pick of the day, Auburn -2.5. Next up, again, like I said, these 2 are probably my biggest lock because they are these smaller games. We are going Georgia Tech, Colorado. I love Georgia Tech. What do you want to take them? -4.5. What do you want to take them? -198 on the money line. I think this is a great disparity of 2 teams. When you look at Georgia Tech, the continuity they have, the experience this team has together, and the identity they have on offense. When you look at the RPO game with Haynes King, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the country, with Jamal Haynes, one of the best running backs in the country, I believe they have a style on offense that they can replicate from year to year. And these guys have been playing with each other for a while. When you look at Colorado, they have a ton of turnover. Colorado, whole offense is basically completely wiped. When you look at Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, LeJohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn Jr., like the whole offense is white. Colorado is one of the teams with the most turnover in the country. Georgia Tech is one of the most experienced teams that stuck together in the country. I think that disparity is going to be way too much for week one. Again, if this was a week 8, week 9 matchup where everybody has found their footing, might be a little different. But for week one, I don't think Colorado is going to be able to overcome their turnover. And like I said, an experienced team like Georgia Tech, who I believe is a top half team in the ACC for sure. And also with Colorado, I am so happy that Deion Sanders, again, got over cancer. But he has really not been with the team much this offseason. I think that's going to hurt them as well, being flat out blunt. I really like Georgia Tech. Again, I think the disparity between the two teams, Colorado just unfortunately is a team with a ton of turnover, playing one of the most experienced teams in the country. Georgia Tech has an identity in offense. Colorado still doesn't even know who they're starting at quarterback. Give me Georgia Tech -4.5, -198 on the money line. I absolutely love it. Now, for the biggest game of the day, because we are going in order, Texas, Ohio State. You got Texas +2.5, Texas +114. I really like Texas in this matchup. Again, if Ohio State was to win this game, would I be surprised? Definitely not. Is this one of the most confident games that I'm most confident in? No, but it is the biggest game of the week. So we got to take it. We're not going to sit there watching it without any action. I like Texas +2.5. I like Texas at plus odds. I think Texas is the better team in this matchup, and you were getting points with them. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I really like Texas. Now, when you look at Texas, Ohio State, when they played in the college football playoffs, I feel like the gap of talent was a lot more wider. When you look at the running back room Ohio State has, Ohio State also had Emeka Egbuka. Like, Ohio State had a ton of guys that went to the NFL. Now I think the gap is a lot closer. I actually think Texas is the better team, and you were getting Texas at plus odds with points. I really like that. Now, a couple of things that I like on Texas' side. One, obvious, the quarterback situation. I have said time and time again that I like Julian Saint. I think Julian Saint has a talent to be a really good college football quarterback, and I think he has the surroundings around him to succeed. But for a week 1 matchup, for Julian Saint to go against the best team in the country, a defense like Texas, as a first-time starter, I don't like that at all. And I think Arch Manning is going to be ready and prepared to face this matchup. For Arch Manning, with the family that he has come from, with the noise that he has been hearing all off season, how he might be a product of nepotism, Arch Manning has to be itching as a Manning, scratching at the bit to face Ohio State. This is a huge opportunity. This may be a game down the line, 15 years down the line into Arch Manning's career. If he pans out into what we think he could be, people might look at this as a first-time starter against Ohio State, the national champion, and how he dominates. I trust Arch Manning a lot more than Julian Saint, for sure. That's the main reason I really like Texas. Again, I said I think they're a better team. Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, probably the two best players on the field. But Julian Saint, like I said, as a first-time start against Texas, I'm not in love with that at all. Another thing I really like, again, am I scared to death of Jeremiah Smith in this game? Absolutely. But when we look at last year, the game plan Texas had against Jeremiah Smith to keep that game close in the college football playoffs, Jeremiah Smith was shut down in that game. He had his worst game against Texas. So I really trust Texas to have a solid game plan to at least contain him and to not let him explode. I really like that. And like I said, I think Texas has a really deep running back room for these two first-time starters. I think a running back room is really going to help with Quadravion Wisner, with TJ Baxter. I love their running back room. Texas receivers, very underrated. I think Ryan Wingo, like I said, could be a top 5 receiver eventually in the college football season. DeAndre Moore, really good as well. The defense for Texas, Anthony Hill Jr., Colin Simmons, going to make up one of the best front sevens. Like, I think Texas is the better team with Arch Manning. I trust a little more, and I trust him to contain Jeremiah Smith. Again, this isn't the game that I'm the most confident in. When you look at 2 top 3 teams, again, it's a tough pick wherever you take. I just don't want to be on the side of Arch Manning. I just want to be on the opposite side of Arch Manning in a legacy-type game like it could be against the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes when he gets the reins of Texas. I don't want to be on the opposite side of that. Give me Texas +2.5 at +114. Now we get into Alabama, Florida State. This is a very simple one for me. I love Alabama minus 13.5. I absolutely love it. I like Alabama to beat Florida State by 2 touchdowns. Florida State, again, had a lot of turnover. Obviously, they were one of the worst Power 4 teams last year. Things did not pan out as we expected. Alabama really retained almost everybody they could have. When you look at Ryan Williams, Justin Jefferson, LT Overton, Jam Miller, they retained basically their whole entire core. I said time and time again, I think Ty Simpson is a way better fit for Kalen DeBoer's Alabama team than Jalen Miller ever was. So I like that part of it as well. I think Alabama is going to be the most hungry team in college football. When you look at Kalen DeBoer, his first year coaching, not making a 12-team playoff with Alabama, an absolute disgrace. Alabama is usually a lock for a 14 playoff, still not making a 12. So I think Alabama's going to be super hungry. Now, not only that, the amount of talk that came out of Thomas Castellanos, I think Alabama is going to be hungrier than ever. 2 scores, a team with a ton of turnover against a powerhouse school that really retained everybody. With all the noise around it, give me Alabama minus 13.5 for sure. Then we get into the nightcap of Saturday. We have LSU Clemson. Clemson's minus 3.5, minus 180. I really like Clemson. I think Clemson is one of the most balanced teams on both sides of the ball, where I think LSU is not. I think LSU's offense is one of the best offenses in college football. You could say it's the best offense in college football, obviously right there with Clemson. But the defense for LSU, I do not really trust. Clemson is at home in this game, and I think it's going to be a crazy environment. Not only that, I trust Dabo Swinney a lot more than I trust Brian Kelly. And like I said, this is a game where Clemson dominates in the trenches. I like Clemson's offensive line a lot better than LSU's. I like Clemson's defense with the amount of NFL blue chip challenge they have on that defense compared to LSU. I think Clemson is a more balanced team. I think this could be a shootout, but when you need a defense to make a play, I trust Clemson's defense more than I trust LSU's. That's why I'm going Clemson minus 3.5. I think they're a more balanced team. Again, I think these are 2 possibly college football playoff teams. And it's as tough a start as you could get for LSU in an out-of-conference game. Give me Clemson. Then we get into the last pick of our slate. We are getting into Notre Dame, Miami. This is a tough one for me, but on a similar standpoint, I really like Notre Dame because I like the balance of both sides of the ball. I don't trust Miami's defense yet. Miami's defense was abysmal last year, and they have a lot of transfers coming in, a lot of turnover on that defense. Obviously, they had to shore it up, but are they going to be united as one against Notre Dame, against Jeremiah Love, one of the best players in the entire country? I'm not so sure, and I get it. Both teams have new quarterbacks, and believe me, I like Carson Beck a lot more than I like C.J. Carr going into this game, and usually when I feel way more confident about a quarterback, like I do in the Archman and Julian saying thing that we just talked about, I usually go with the team that I trust the quarterback in more. But for Notre Dame, I trust the identity of their offense a lot more. They still have Whitehouse who's going to be their leading weapon, but they're going to really run the ball and play defense. And I think for a new offense in Miami, they're facing one of the toughest defenses in the coaching matchup. I like Marcus Freeman way more than I like Mario Cristobal. And like I said, I think Notre Dame is going to play their style of football, even implementing CJ Carr in that. I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal. I think they're going to still do what they do. I trust their defense to slow down Miami way more than I trust Miami's defense to slow down them. Again, am I more confident in Carson Beck? Yes. Is it a huge game for Carson Beck? For sure. But I think Notre Dame has an identity right now that Miami just doesn't. So I'm going to take the team with the identity, with the better coach. I'm taking Notre Dame minus 2.5 for the last game we were taking on the slate. Again, like I said, I hope all you guys are with your boys, multiple TVs, watching all these games, having action. This is what I have for week 1. We are going to be back week 2 going over all my plays. We come out with you guys up front, whether I did horrible or whether I killed it. We're going to go over it. That wraps up this episode of Sloppy Saturdays, and we are out.